Tax the rich, they say. They say the rich have to pay their fair share. In this video, I'm gonna break down my opinion to you on Biden's new tax plan, which includes taxing certain individuals at a higher rate. Now, some of this may be controversial. Everybody has different opinions out there, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts throughout this video. So make sure you comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. And make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. So as I mentioned, Biden put out his new tax plan, and there's a lot of changes on that, which include a large portion of it increasing taxes on what they call the rich. A lot of people say that the rich need to pay more taxes, that the rich need to pay their fair share, et cetera, et cetera. And if you stick around to the end, I'm gonna tell you exactly my opinion on how I feel about taxing the rich after I explain what Biden wants to do. So right now there's a thing called capital gains. So when you buy an asset and then you sell an asset for a higher dollar value, you got to pay capital gains on it. So right now that percentage is about 20%. So something that Biden put out there in his bill to implement is to increase that 20% to 39.6%, almost doubling the tax rate only for income earners that are above $1 million a year. And by the way, there's other taxes on top of that 39.6%. That's just the capital gain. So there is way more taxes that people have to pay past that, and it'll end up being 50% or more at the end of the day. So what this means is that if you make solid investments to make more money, to gain income, you're going to be penalized for making those gains to the tune of sometimes 50% or more. Also, right now, when you die, you can transfer your asset to your heirs without them paying massive taxes. This is called the step-up basis. So for example, if you buy a property for $100,000 and hold it for 30 years, and it's now worth $1 million, and then you pass away and give it to your children, they don't have to pay taxes on $900,000 of income, right? Because of the appreciation. But what Biden wants to implement is taxes of 39.6% on that growth, on that appreciation that has happened over time. He's trying to get rid of the step-up basis going forward. So I don't really have an opinion on that because it's earned money. But the way that this could come into an effect and be damaging is if those heirs get the property and then they don't have money to pay those taxes, and the only way that they can pay those taxes is by selling the asset to pay the taxes, and then they no longer own the asset. That's the only problem that I see with that, because assets obviously make money, right? So if you're taxed at a super high rate when you inherit something, the only way to pay for it is to sell it and then pay the taxes. You'd rather continue to own the asset. Something else that Biden said he's wanted to remove, which again isn't law yet, but time will tell. He wants to get rid of the 1031 exchange. So what does this mean? When you buy real estate, every year you can depreciate that asset because things in the house are depreciating. So, for single family residences, you can depreciate over 27 and a half years. So if it's a $100,000 property, you divide that by 27 and a half, then you can take that as a write-off every year. So with that, let's say you write it off for 27 and a half years and you write it down to a zero cost basis. So the asset has a zero basis. So if you were to sell that property, you would have to pay taxes and recoup that depreciation. Let's say you sell it for $300,000. You'd have to pay taxes on $300,000, which is a lot of money. So what a 1031 exchange allows you to do is when you sell that property, you can 1031 it, you can take those proceeds and buy another piece of real estate that's worth more than the property you sold it for and not pay taxes on it. It's a great way to not pay taxes. You buy another asset that's worth more, and then you start making income on that because it's a rental, and then you can depreciate that as well. And again, this, I don't really have an opinion on it. Obviously, I love it because I'm in real estate and it saves money in taxes. But the issue is if you get rid of 1031 exchanges, the only reason people sell a lot of times is to sell an asset to buy a better asset. So if you get rid of a 1031 exchange, and when people think, let's say, for example, they sell a $300,000 property to buy $1 million property, if they sell that $300,000 property, they got to pay roughly 50% in taxes. Why would they sell that and lose $150,000 in taxes, and then they wouldn't be able to buy this property because they've lost half the money in taxes? So the issue could arise if you do get rid of 1031 exchanges. Nobody's selling. Nobody's going to sell their properties because they're going to have to pay a massive amount of taxes on it. So people that are new trying to get into the game of wealth or real estate or growing their financial future won't have an opportunity to buy real estate because people won't be selling it because they cannot no longer 1031 it into a bigger building. So that could obviously be a problem. If everybody stops selling their assets, that could be a problem. Now keep in mind, this huge increase of what he's trying to do is to tax people on the capital gains from 20% to 39.6% only affects people that earn $1 million a year or more. So this is only going to affect very, very few people at the end of the day. But the people who are really hurting here is the middle class. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and the middle class, unfortunately, is the one taking the beating here. So take this for example. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was down in a bad position, right? And she had an option of either taking government assistance and making a little bit of money, or she wanted to work part-time because that's all she could do because she was going to college and taking care of her child. She wanted to work part-time and work 20 hours a week. But if she did that, she would lose the government assistance because she said that she worked 20 hours a week was too much, which was less than $2,000 a month in income, but she made too much to help with government assistance. So she was stuck in a rock and a hard place because she either didn't make enough on government assistance or didn't make enough working part-time, and she couldn't have both. It makes no sense. She had to work jobs under the table so she could still qualify for government assistance. Now let's just make this abundantly clear. The system's messed up. And the system needs fixed. And this video isn't going to save the system or isn't going to change the system. But, over time, the system has to change. Now, to be clear here, I do believe in paying taxes. I do. Because people need help at times. Like, example from my friend. She needs help for a certain amount of time so she can graduate or, get a better job to then live and take care of herself. Some people physically can't take care of themselves. I believe in paying taxes to help people that need to step up or that physically can't take care of themselves. So my opinion on this, I'm gonna put into perspective for you. So let's say you're young, you have a sibling, right? Let's say you have a sister, it's a brother and a sister, and they go out and they cut lawn, they cut someone's grass, and the person pays them $50 a piece. So they pay them $100 and they both make $50 a piece. So you cut the same grass at the same time together, then you went home to your mom and your dad, and you both had $50 to show for your hard work. And your parents say, well, this is great, congratulations, but you do have to pay a little bit to live here, which might be understandable. So they take $5 from your other sibling for rent. And now this is where it changes. Let's say that the equipment that was used was yours, right? You went out there and you bought a lawnmower to use to cut lawns. And you stay late up night cleaning the lawnmower and putting gas into the lawnmower and putting oil into the lawnmower because you wanted to own something to go out there and make money. So with that, they take $10 from you instead of $5 like your sibling, and you look at them and say, well, why'd you take more money from me? And then they respond with, well, we know that you picked up an extra job to save money, to buy this lawnmower, to put in the extra work, to risk the investment of owning the lawnmower and maybe not ever cutting a piece of grass and maybe not ever making money, but we understand that you took the risk to make that investment, to go out there and try to produce income and try and better your life. And since you've done that and you've paid it all off and you've made more money and now you have more money in your bank account than your other sibling does, we think it's fair that you pay a higher rate because you have more money in your bank account than your sibling. Now, in my opinion, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why is someone paying more in taxes, more in rent for taking the risk and making more money and putting it all on the line and staying up late at night and putting the extra hours in rather than somebody who just, goes to work and makes money, right? I know this example doesn't cover like everything, all the different nuances. There's a million different variables you can put in here, but in that example, that's not fair. And I know that there's bad people on both ends of the spectrum. There's extremely wealthy people who got very wealthy by screwing over the middle class and the poor the entire way up. I get that, 100% I do. And on the other side, there's people that live on government assistance, that use it, that never try and get a job, and they just live on it for the rest of their lives. There's bad people on both sides of the spectrum. Like I said earlier in this video is not going to solve the problem. Problem's not going to be solved in the next month or two. This is going to take time to change. So at the end of the day, there's no way you can please everybody. Some of the things that Biden is doing, I agree with. Some of the things that he's doing, I don't agree with because I don't think people should be quote unquote punished for making more money and taking more risk personally. But like I said, no one's ever going to be happy at the end of the day, either way you go on this. So I'm curious to hear what your opinion is. What are your thoughts on these increase in taxes? Comment below. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell for all the content going forward. As always, I appreciate you being here. We'll see you on the next one.